Didn't happen in 49, 61, 63 or 69 when they reached the final. But the class of 2021 have delivered. Leicester City are FA Cup winners at last and are history makers at Wembley.
Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
for all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
The Leicester Till I Die shop is now open.
For all your Leicester Till I Die merchandise,
Visit the Leicester Till I Die shop at our website.
They have blown their rivals away. They have blown us all away in truth. Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City.
Leicester Till I Die TV. Your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Right, Chris.
All right there. How the devil are we all? Welcome along. You know, as blokes, we all know that our wives, girlfriends, partners, they've got one aim in life, and that is to make you look stupid at every opportunity. But it's bad when one of your friends' partners makes you look stupid. You then know you're having a bad day. All I will say is, hello, Miss Musgrove. How the devil are you? This is Leicester Till I Die TV. You can find us on YouTube at Leicester Till I Die TV, or if you're catching up on podcast form, thank you very much. Apple, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Spotify, to name just a few. This is where you can find us. All right, Kate.
watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favorite podcast platform
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. It is the weekend roundup show. And to be honest with you, I've tried to avoid him. You know, when you're a kid and you all get together in your gang and there's one gang member that you really don't want to sort of see, try and sneak out and sneak round the back alley so you don't go past his house, and you're all there playing and he suddenly finds you and you think, oh, God, no, he's found. Hi, Dan. How the devil are you, sir? Welcome along.
I'm good, thank you, Chris. It's nice. It's nice. I mean, to be fair, I've spent most of my morning in custody. However, likewise, they've said, listen, you did a lot for your channel when you was well behaved. It's now about time you repaid the faith. So I'm here to do my bit for the community service and pay my respects to your channel as well.
Indeed. So how is the good lady, Miss Musgrove?
She's fine. Honestly, she said, I'm sure he should know my last name. I'm sure. I mean, it comes up on my comments. I'm sure it does. So, and she comments and thought, Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, I know. I mean, as I say, that is just sort of how bad my day has been.
You can blame it on the Monday. It's a Monday, Chris. You can blame it on that.
It does. And Kate, please do carry on commenting. I do like and read your comments, even though you may not think I do, because I don't know your name. But maybe it'd be more worrying if I did. As the thing in the quiz says, I know where you live. Hey,
she who must not be named, as that's what they're going to say through the wedding. Do you, Daniel Robert Moorhouse, take she who shall not be named to be your lawful wedded wife?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be there just for the bit when they say, if anybody knows why these two shouldn't be lawfully married, me, don't do it, Kate. You could lie. You think your life couldn't get any worse? It can do. Niall, good evening, sir. How the devil are you? It's Dan with an exclamation mark. I thought it was Danny. Welcome along, Niall. Welcome along. Yeah, it's a shame, because if anybody sort of watches the channel regularly, and there must be one or two of you out there, that we have the quiz show, and currently we're working our way through the Big Fat Football Quiz 2. Well, a bit like apparently we had now for 3 hours on Friday.
We did.
Did we? I thought, no, let's just not go there. Let's just not go there. But like all good challenges, you do a pilot, and then like if I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. You always sort of, they practice the pranks and what have you. What do they call the trials before they actually do it? And of course, I always run through the questions with you to see sort of how they are before. Well, unfortunately, this week, and I did have to apply World Boxing Council rules here, because Mike is not able to defend his crown this week. Who else but Mike would arrange to do a quiz on the same night as his football team's playing?
Well, I mean, that's the Welsh. I mean, he's been inside for a long time. When they only had one brain cell to begin with. It can kill it off. It can kill a man being inside. It really can.
Don't say he's on his own. There's loads of sheep there. But anyway,
to be fair, I don't think it'll do him any harm.
You could have come on, but all the questions, And also tomorrow we've got an extra show, as if I wasn't doing enough this week. I thought I'd have a quiet week this week. 7 o'clock tomorrow, it's the big one. Rodgers in or out. We're having Jason on, who is a very much Rodgers out, and he's going to be coming on and saying why. Because if you follow this channel, I'm very much a Rodgers in. And we also have Josh, who's not been on the channel before, so it'd be nice to get him on. Leicester fan from his own channel. We'll give all the details tomorrow. Hopefully, he'll be able to pop on as well. And he's sort of on the in camp. But of course, we, as we say, are going to be looking at the weekend's results.
We are.
You've done your research and you've watched Match of the Day, which is more than I've done. I've got to be honest with you.
To be fair, Chris, it's the only time I've watched it this season. I think that's because Burnley won.
Well, I was just going to say, was there a reason for you watching it? But I do know what you mean. If we win, I will watch it, and if we lose, I won't. It's as simple as that. Why should I put myself through that? But first of all, congratulations, Dan. You've beaten Derby's record. You actually won 2 games now this season. Welcome along.
Well, at least we're not going to hold that record anymore. We're not going to be seen in the same bracket as Derby, which is always nice.
Oh, you are. If you don't get any better, you still are. I won't let you forget. I'm just worried that if you do actually start to turn this round, that I might actually have to do things with you next season as well.
I know, it's worrying, isn't it? It's worrying. We'll have to sit down. When the annual not ATM, but like GTM, the general meeting between all football club
what are
YouTube
you going
channels.
on about?
the meeting of all the general football YouTube channels when we sit round the table and say, right, which three's going down this year? Who do we not want to work with next season?
I've never been invited to one of those. Does that mean that they want me to go down?
You know.
If the cap fits, as they say, you know. But it was a funny weekend, wasn't it?
It was,
not as in funny ha-ha, but I mean, to briefly run through there. I know that I've got more than anybody else on your prediction show, but what can I say? I'm just good. And I've gone above Brad on ours. But Newcastle getting a draw at West Ham, I think, was a shock for me. Along as Watford beating Villa. That's probably the biggest shock of the weekend.
Yeah. Some really, really horrible fixtures in there. I mean, look, as much as it says Liverpool 3, Norwich 1, you know, Norwich could have gone 2-0 up in that game. I know we'll break down those later on and stuff like that. But yeah, honestly, you cheeky gal. You know, that one surprised me as well. The Southampton Everton, and that, you know, but there were a few games this weekend that could have gone either way.
And in fairness, and I don't mean this in a derogatory manner, but Burnley Brighton was a bit of a surprise as well.
Yeah. I mean, as a fan, I will say that, you know, probably opposition teams will have been thinking, right, we've got Burnley next. Let's not be that team that, you know, gets the tub in, lets them get their second win. However, you know, Brighton just went welcome to the Amex, didn't they, and rolled out the red carpet for us. So we took the opportunity with both hands.
We did. A good evening to Scott, who's just come in.
Hope you're well, Scott.
Along, mate. How the devil are you? Yeah, we're all okay. Thank you for here. Well, I am. I don't know about Dan, of course. Can't speak.
Can't smile wide enough.
All I will say is now, you know what you can do? You can reach for those stars, Dan. You really can. And don't stop believing or whatever. No, don't give up whatever they are. I don't know S Club songs as well as you do, you know. But let's go. He's ignoring that totally. S Club 7 and Man United pajamas. What a collection. It started off in BT morning game. West Ham United 1, Newcastle United 1. I mean, Dawson put West Ham United ahead. And I think they're sort of kind of going off form a little bit at the moment. And of course, you know, they're relying on the defenders to get the goals. Willock, who was so good for Newcastle last season, got one in first stop injury time. I just thought West Ham would go on and win this.
Yeah, same. As you said, though, you know, up front, they've started to have a bit of problems, really, West Ham. Not really got going, getting forward. Dawson, the fact that their centre-backs got 2 and 2 now, I think it might even be 3 and 2, I'm not entirely sure. But, you know, it's good that they're getting players involved from all over the pitch. You know, Dawson's been quite a player that Burnley wanted for God knows how many years. Back when he was playing for Rochdale or Oldham. He said no then, and then he said no when he moved on somewhere else, and then he ended up going West Ham and backed us off. So another 4 years, when he's about 37, he'll join.
He'll feel at home then, won't he?
Yeah, of course he will. But yeah, this game were a bit of a shock. Newcastle didn't look like they were going to get anything out of it, and then all of a sudden they just had this mad spell towards the end of the first half. And you know, Joe Willock's goal was only given on the back of the referee pointing to his watch saying no, it's come up, it's showed up goal. You know, he's coming in front of the defender. He's managed to get onto it. It's hit the post. It's literally ran across the line. It only just crossed while when I think it's Fabianski that ring goal or Areola, I'm not sure. They clawed it off the line anyway, but the referee said it had crossed. So a good point for Newcastle. It still keeps them sort of in form, as you like to call it, you know, because it's still a point. But as you say, West Ham dropping off it a bit. And I think if you're a West Ham fan, you should be really worried.
Yes, I mean, the last 5, it's lost, won, drawn. You've got Wolverhampton Wanderers, who have only lost 1 in 5. We'll have to mention them a bit later, but they're coming up behind them. Arsenal have only lost 1 in 5 as well, but they've only won 3. Say only, I'd love to say Leicester have only won 3. So they've got to be careful, West Ham. They're really, I mean, whether it's West Ham or whether it's Wolves or whether it's Brighton, I do want one of those kind of teams to break into that top sort of 6, like Leicester have done. If you can't be Leicester, I'd love it to be, one of the similar sort of clubs to us.
Yeah, of course.
But
of course.
I do have bad. And I know, in fairness, a lot of the West Ham fans are saying the same. Right at the start of the season, they were saying they don't know if it could last at all.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, you've got to ride the wave, haven't you? And to be fair, the last couple of weeks, West Ham could have pulled themselves, remarkably clear of Manchester United. They had the losing on penalties against Borough. The point against us. Things started to look like Man United were in a bit of a rut. West Ham haven't capitalised on that. If anything, they've gone pretty much similar route. Must just be one of those things. If you've got United in your name, you suffer. So yeah, it's daunting because they've gone from looking like a Champions League outfit, for next season potentially, to basically as a fan base probably thinking, but if we keep this up, we'll be lucky to even get Conference League.
And in fairness, we both actually went for the draw.
We did.
Yes. Well, he did on my show. I don't know if you changed your mind by the time.
I'm not sure what I went on my. In fact, what did I go on, man? No, I went for West Ham on mine. To be fair,
did you? Oh well, on mine you went for you, me, and Steve all went for the draw to Newcastle. Scott, you are so right. Yes, wouldn't you wish we had either their forms compared to ours? I do. You're not wrong. You're not wrong there, young man. Right, the next game that came up, if I grab the right mouse, it was Arsenal 2, Brentford 1. Again, I predicted this. You went for the draw, Dan, but Arsenal, you just don't. I think we said we don't know which Arsenal are going to turn up, but they were desperate to win this, weren't they? After what happened on the first day of the season.
Yeah, and they stuck to the status quo, as you'd like to say, and. It was finished off with Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe. So there you have it. I mean, to be fair, Arsenal needed this sort of performance, Chris. They needed it. As you rightly said, you don't know what Arsenal you're going to get from pillar to post week after week. On mine, I went for, we all went for Arsenal on mine. However, I think I do remember the first 4 or 5 on yours. I think I went for draws, to be fair.
How are those splinters coming along?
To be fair, I had them pulled out. They were surgically removed and firmly inserted in Niall's backside when I look at my predictions anyway. So I did my bit for charity. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal were remarkable. There were a chance for two penalties waved away as well. One on Ben White, one on Lacazette. And Brentford did that usual thing where they show fight in the last 5 minutes of a game and managed to get a consolation. But I think that's going to be Brentford's downfall. You can't expect to just turn up with 5 minutes left. A game's played over 90 minutes, and Brentford need to be very, very worried because then we've still got 4 games on them. As Burnley have got 4 games on them, so who knows? It's going to be interesting. But yeah, Arsenal were played very well and deserved the win.
Do you want to try that with your teeth in?
Might be better with my teeth out.
I mean, Arsenal, like I said, only lost 1 in their last 5. That was to Man City, in fairness, 2-1. That they've won 3. And yet their fans still aren't happy with Arteta. He's got them at 6 at the moment. They've got 3 games on West Ham United, so the chances are they're going to finish higher. What do Arsenal fans want?
They just want to. They've been living off that unbeatable season, haven't they? They've been living on that invincible season for years. Again, another team that's living off a legacy of a former manager. You can't live off the fact of, you can keep talking about George Graham. You can keep talking about Arsene Wenger, just like United fans talk about Sir Alex and the days of Matt Busby and stuff. You can't. Yeah. You've eventually got to move on. You're a different outfit to what you were then. You've tried to change your football. You've gone from that French Revolution to all of a sudden, having a team full of different, multicultural nationalities in abundance, and Arteta's trying to get that team to play. And I think it's more a boardroom level thing with Arsenal than it is an on the pitch situation. But sometimes the things in the background can sometimes spill onto the pitch. Again, it's a tough one to call. I mean, Arsenal fans will know a lot more than us. I get that. All the crap with Edu and all that stuff. I get it. But when it comes to Arteta, look at where he's got them. Yeah. Sixth, for me, with the way Arsenal are at the moment, is a very respectable position. And I don't think they should be, turning their nose up at it because, as we've seen many a time, Leicester and Burnley reap what you sow.
Definitely. And I mean, they won't be happy until Arteta's got them Champions League football, but it takes time. Man United, since Fergie left, how many years has that been? They've won the odd, FA Cup and what have you. And the Europa League. But I don't feel like the Europa League will be good enough for Arsenal fans.
No.
Give it time. But I mean, look at the two. Look at the two goal scorers. I mean, they are building a good squad. Smith Rowe and Saka getting both those goals. Two amazingly young players that they've got.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue Martinelli's in there as well. Kieran Tierney's not, probably not in that older category yet. Ramsdale's still a young goalkeeper as well. Yeah. These are players that eventually you get them to gel, you get them to play and play regular. Arsenal could be a different outfit in another 2 to 3 seasons. Yes, you could be fighting for Champions League football. You could be, sort of being in a Liverpool position, trying to get on the end of Manchester City's downfall. But at the moment, be happy with what you've got. Because as I say, it could be 10 times worse.
And Brentford, on the other hand, started the season off so well. Totally opposite, of course. I mean, for the first 3 games, Arsenal, I thought they were playing BBC's Pointless. But Brentford started off the other way round and really went off at a pace. But they've not, they've won 6 all season. They've only got 1 point in the last 5 games. Like you say, you've got 4 games on them. Most teams below them, in fact, I don't think any team below them, even Norwich have got 1 game on them. So they got to be careful. They're not going to get dragged down into that. And I do have a suspicion they might be.
Yeah, it's strange because, as you said there, they started the season pretty well. Brentford and Norwich have sort of changed in everybody's perspectives. The way Brentford came up, everyone thought, the philosophy of working on science behind matches, behind players and stuff will help them. And some of the players they brought in, they've not got Premier League, noir. They've not played in the Premier League before, most of them. But they've brought in this, they brought in Eriksen. Was that not just a Danish connection? Was it also a boost, to try and boost the rest of the players up that we've managed to sign this calibre of player?
Home yet, has he?
Well, no, definitely not. Definitely not. To be honest, they're bringing on Carlsberg, though. Piss poor. Yeah. Piss poor.
I know. We wish him all the best, obviously. A big game for them.
Of course we do.
They've got Newcastle coming up. But, I'd like to see Brentford stay up. You know my feelings on Norwich and Watford.
Do you care to run off on your 15 to 20 minute segment about them again, Chris?
No. I think it's out there. I think I've said it. You can find it on previous shows. As they say, other football teams are available, and they do have to be a lot better as well. But I wanted Brentford to stay up because I do like the small teams coming up and doing well and staying. And then hopefully, like say West Ham or Wolves or somebody getting into that, breaking that glass ceiling of the big 6 clubs. But I am worried. I am worried for Brentford. I can only see it going one way for them, but we will see. We will see. Next game.
Is that another status quo song that can keep going down, deeper and down?
I thought I was talking about you and Kate for a minute. Anyway, moving on. Hello, Miss Musgrove. Moving on to the next. And now this one, nobody predicted, and I did not see this coming. For me, this is the total shock of the weekend. Newcastle did well to get the point away from home, but and this did you no favours at all. It's good that you won, and obviously we'll come on to that in a bit. But you could have done obviously with this. But where the hell? What's happened to Villa under Gerrard? They started off so well.
Yeah, it was almost like Gerrard's walked in. This sense of optimism's just gone straight through the roof at the ground. And next minute, they're bringing in Philip Coutinho. They're bringing in these signings that Gerrard wants, and they're managing to attract that sort of caliber player. You bring in Luke, they're probably one of the best left backs in the Premier League last season in Luca Dean.
Yeah,
they've done pretty well. They've bought appropriately, and they've not overspent on these players either. So you thought, wow, Aston Villa are going to be a different animal, even though they don't deserve to be here, which I've said numerous times. VAR is the only reason why Aston Villa are still in the Premier League. However, that gone, Roy Hodgson's come into Watford. They've not scored under Roy. I mean, Roy's first game were at the Turf. They got a point and a clean sheet, their first clean sheet of the season, obviously. That same saying, welcome to Turf Moor. And I'll tell you what, watching this game, Watford were absolutely brilliant. If it wasn't for Emi Martinez in the Aston Villa goal pulling out numerous ridiculous saves, Watford could have been in, a similar scoreline to us at Brentford, which we'll discuss later on. But
yeah,
I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't be it. It's strange because I was watching it thinking, where did Watford get this sort of performance from?
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's because you're watching Watford because they're amongst you. You sort of take them tinted glasses off and go, well, how poor were Aston Villa?
Yes.
A team that's usually so well drilled, so well organised, like to get on the front foot. Up front, they're lacking a goal-scoring threat. You've got Danny Ings, you've got Ollie Watkins. Nobody's putting the ball in the back of the net. Not even John McGinn's getting his name on the score sheet as much as he was. It's just all gone a bit stale and a bit dry at Aston Villa, and I wonder if the faithful at Villa Park think the same as well.
Yeah, Scott, seeing your question, asked that towards the end of the show, mate, and I'll certainly read it out. But it's the sort of question that we'll do when we've done all the games. I mean, Villa, when Gerrard came in, I think they were below us, and they still are. I mean, they're on the same number of points as us. It's just the fact that we've scored 6 more goals than they have. The goal difference is the same. We've only won 1 in 5. I expected when Gerrard came in for them to shoot off, and he made what looked like good signings.
Yeah, as I said, very astute in the transfer market, did everything right. The way Gerrard's gone about his business, in a sense, from his days of calling it a day as a footballer to working sort of in the background behind Klopp with Liverpool's under-23s and the youth system. The fact that Klopp said to him, drop the name. When you go into management, drop the name. Don't go into it thinking, well, I'm Steven Gerrard, I'm Billy Big Bullets, because you're not. You're Steven Gerrard, the manager now, and it's a clean slate. And that's probably one of the best bits of advice. I mean, I sometimes think about it that you can take it into a new job in real life. It's a clean slate. Yeah. Nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
You go again. He went up to Scotland. It worked out really well for him. But as we've seen, these people, these sort of managers that can go up to Scotland, it work. Especially if you, a manager of Celtic or Rangers. No offence to teams in and around there. I'm sorry, Niall. I know you're a Motherwell fan if you're still watching and stuff. But I just think of those those two big teams in the Scottish League, you expect them to win games.
We've got the top 6 that share it out. They've got the top 2 that share it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for him to come to England and test himself, I think, if anything, this was almost a test in the water for him prior to the Liverpool job.
Oh, I think that's going to be the world's worst kept secret. I think.
Of course. But at the moment, I can't see him being anywhere near that Liverpool job based on his performances in the Gaffer this year.
Not for a few years. I mean, Mellor, good evening, Miller. I never know how to pronounce it. How angry are you that Watford beat Villa? You hate Watford and want them to lose. Miller, is it Mellor or Miller? I can never know how to pronounce it. Look, I don't particularly hate Watford. It's just the way that your owners operate. You just come up and you just do not give any manager you started me off on my rant again. You know my feelings about Watford. To be honest with you, like I say, that's the reason I want you to go down, because of the way that you think you can manage your way out of going down by changing the manager 3 or 4 times a season. I don't know if Roy's going to make it or not, but good luck to you. You've won that game. Well done. And I don't think you're going to survive still, but you did us a favour with beating Villa. And I mean, Watford, just looking for you down here, Watford, they've you played 2 more than you, but they've won 3 more than you, which isn't hard, let's be honest. But they've lost, drawn, lost, won. I mean, it's almost like this is just a blip, isn't it?
You'd like to think so. I mean, if you were looking at it as a Watford fan, you'd hope that it was a blip. It was just a bit of sickening for myself as a Burnley fan when you're 3-0 up away at Amex and you're looking at the other scores going, is it going in your favour? And then you see Watford go up the other end. As I say, I've got to tip my hat to Watford. Watching this game back, they were phenomenal, Chris. I swear to God, they really were. Some saves from Emi Martinez from Villa, the Villa goalkeeper, were just absolutely out of this world. Without him, this could have been a very hard goal scoring game in Watford's favour. And luckily, they found the deadlock eventually for them. And
it is so close. I know it's a difficult to look at the table this season because everything's all over the place with the games. They're not normally sort of this many gaps. But
table's upside down, Chris. It's upside down.
But I mean, Watford 18, Burnley 17, Norwich 17. I mean, Newcastle, they've won 3 of the last 5, and that's done them a huge favour. But they're still sort of 22, then Everton 22, Leeds 23. And even up to Leicester, we're on 27. You've got to kind of look over the shoulder a bit. But well done, Watford. Well, you won, you deserved it. But like I said, I still do think I want you to go down. Now, that for me was the shock. This next game wasn't necessarily as much of a shock, but it was certainly up there. I have been saying for weeks and weeks, this is the one that Burnley are going to do. It's at Turf Moor. They're going to do it. It's a hard place to go to. It's bloody freezing. The wind gets round your Bob Lords, and you never do it. Every time I predicted you never do it. And then what do? You come down to the south coast, bring your hordes down on your charabancs. You come down and you do it to, the greatest manager this country's ever seen in Graham Potter, master tactician, and you go and stuff 3 past him.
I'll tell you what, I love that, Chris. I love that. You need to put that on a book or on a T-shirt. To be fair, I'm just as shocked as probably a lot of people about this result. We needed something. You look at the way Brighton have played this season. I think they've only lost 5 all season. 6, now including us. It's absolute madness. They've been an absolute resolute side under Graham Potter, and I know that's all you hear about Brighton. I bet the players are a bit pissed off that they don't get the credit, because it's always about what a great tactician Graham Potter is. What remarkable job Graham Potter is doing. Not the fact that since he got rid of the shit like Glenn Murray and stuff like that, that everything's gone so well and the team's been playing really well, standout players. But no, it's almost like Derby again, isn't it? Frank Lampard's Derby. Nothing to do with the fact he had Mason Mount on loan and stuff like that. Ridiculous. But yeah, Brighton were just really surprised me, really shocked me with how poor they were. I mean, I spoke to a guy called Adam from Together Brighton and Hove Albion YouTube channel, and he said to me that he's worried about their back line because obviously Dunk stupidly got sent off against Arsenal that weekend. The weekend, midweek, sorry. So they were a bit close for numbers at the back. He said it could be Adam Webster and Duffy, or it could be Veltman and Duffy. And he just said it's going to be interesting. He says if Veltman plays, he's small, and if Weghorst gets the better of him, then it's going to be sort of like good night Vienna. And he hit the nail on the head with that, because obviously we scored a very similar goal, I think, to a couple of seasons ago when we scored against West Ham. Chris Wood played one in for Ashley Barnes, and he just lashed his foot through it. And it was just a really good finish. But to get 2 goals there, Weghorst get his account open for the season. Josh Brownhill to get his first Premier League goal for the club as well. He's been with us for 2 years now. And Aaron Lennon, 30-odd-year-old, I get that. He played for us once, went on to Turkey, thought that's where we were probably going to play out the rest of his career, come back, and ever since his goal against Man United pre-Christmas, he's been almost like you've just plucked an 18-year-old gem from somewhere. He's almost like a reborn player. He's just phenomenal, and the fact that he's still got that he's still got the pace, he's still got the noir to get in behind the players as well. He's first class. So yeah, what a performance! Was not expecting it at all, and as you said, it stops us from being linked with the likes of Derby County.
Yeah, Weghorst, as you mentioned there. You lost Chris Woods, you brought in Weghorst, and arguably you could say you got the better end of that deal.
Massively, yeah.
Got his account up and running. You would hope that would be the first of many that now he's got it, because getting that first goal is always the difficult thing for a new signing, because, especially when in fairness to him, he's come to a club, and no disrespect to Burnley, but he's come to a club in trouble. That are fighting for their lives. He's expected to come and provide the goals, and if they don't start coming, then you're looking at me going like, "What have we bought here?" But all credit to him, he's got that first goal. Is this going to spark the paper, as they say?
You'd like to think so. From what we've seen of him, he's so good just on the ball and off the ball. His all-round game is so much better than what Chris Wood's game were. He'll drop deep into the midfield. He'll try and help out in sort of like a cam. He's almost like a false 9 striker, and he's in there. He's in the box. It's weird because for a big lad, he just can't jump. We've noticed that he sort of looks like he can't jump, but technically with his feet, he's phenomenal. He set Josh Brownhill up for the second goal. His stats since joining us have blown Chris Wood out the water already. So it just goes to show what an astute signing he is. Any striker that when you look at the Bundesliga stats, it was Robert Lewandowski in number 1, Weghorst was second, and we've managed to get him in for 13 million quid and still got change in the back pocket. You're like, wow, set that every day of the week.
Yes. And just to hit on Lennon, like you say, some people were saying, he's past it. What did you bring him back in for? I can remember when Leicester bought Tony Cottee back in under John O'Neill. He was out in Indonesia, and he didn't have the pace, but he had the brains. And him and Heskey provided the pace, but Lennon, he's pushing back the years possibly for you.
He is, and it's strange because we know Burnley. I say it to you week in, week out, and I jest and I say that we're a retirement centre, and we are in terms of half of the players that are there.
Yeah,
but it's almost just typical Burnley now. We've started to write them off, and now we've got that fire in our bellies to go again and try and get ourselves out of it and bail ourselves out the shit. I'm still sat on the fence with it, Chris. I'm still got them splinters firing away up the arse crack as firmly as possible. I do still think...
There's a thought. Thing
I
is,
do
Kate,
still
I
think...
only have to think about it. You've got to see it.
To be fair, it's troubled times. But since the draw against Arsenal, there has been so much optimism, so much fart, so much passion from this Burnley side that makes you think. I'll put it one way. I've gone from 95% sure that we'll go down to 91.
Thing is, from the neutral's point of view, and like you say, if anybody was to say that, here's a thought. If anybody was to say like Leicester could be drawn into it, you couldn't say that they won't be, I'm pleased with some of the results that kind of open the top end of the table up, but it is fascinating down there. No one team has yet been sort of separated, because usually there's one team that's loads of points off, but loads of points. But they're all so tight. I just want to say, Dan, that for your first win of the season, you predicted a draw.
Well, that's our second win, Chris, that one.
Was it your second win? Sorry, it was just a shock of the thought of you winning. I can't keep up with all these wins you've got.
To be fair, I predicted Burnley on my channel.
Yeah, see, the thing is, on your channel, you've got to be seen to be loyal. The truth comes out on my channel.
To be fair, I just... The way Brighton had played, I'd have been happy with the point. Of course, away from home, you would have. Can I just say, though, Brighton and Hove Albion, I give you all respect in terms of your manager and the players at the end of the game, because Graham Potter came out, so did Adam Lallana, and both of them said, you know what, we got beat by the better football inside today. They were head and shoulders above us. There's nothing we could do about it. They had us basically man for man throughout the 90 minutes, and we were poor. So for them to come out and say that, listen, we played football. This is what's shocking me as well. We're getting managers and teams coming out saying, you know what, we got beat by a side that basically played for something. They played for something.
There's only two managers have said that, in fairness.
Well, I don't know. A few managers have said that we've actually played pretty well.
We got beat by the team. Sorry, only two can say that.
No, but to be fair, Chris, I look at the fact of Jurgen Klopp came out, didn't he? He came out prior to us playing Liverpool and said that our second half against Man United was something different. I look at our goals again. We're so used to being a hoofball team. That first Weghorst goal comes from the centre-back, who plays it to the right-back. Right-back plays it to a centre midfielder who manages to turn. The right-back's made a run. He's played it through for a through ball, and he's just pulled it back to Weghorst. There's no over-the-top bollocks in that goal. There's literally no hoofball at all. And it was the same with the Brownhill goal, same with the Aaron Lennon finish as well. So,
unfortunately, though, when you get tagged with that, and Leicester was tagged with that under the O'Neill team, once it's tagged, it sticks with you for years.
Exactly. If you've got the old cattle grid imprint on your arse prior, it's there for life, isn't it? So
before we move on, like I say, you did predict. In fact, there's only Steve Lynitz that went for a Burnley win. He has a soft spot for you. Steve. But out of all the games, and there was sort of 10 of them, because obviously there's 20 clubs. How many predictions do you think you got right on my show?
3.
Oh, you would have loved to get 3.
Wow. I thought I was being optimistic with 3.
2 you got, mate.
Oh.
2. You got the draw Newcastle West Ham, and you got the Liverpool win, which, to be honest with you, wasn't the hardest one to predict, was it?
No, true.
But the next one, Palace Chelsea. Now, I was the only one here that went for Chelsea. They were my team to win it this season, and I don't think they're going to do that. They've let themselves down, but they are world club champions, as I'm sure they won't get bored in telling us. You went for a Palace win on this one. Chelsea just did enough, though, didn't they?
They did, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at mine now. You were the only one that went for Chelsea on my channel as well.
Yeah. Quite right on this, Kate.
Me and Kate sat on the fence. I don't know who enjoyed that the most. And Niall went for Palace. Funnily enough, he broke his duck instead of going for a draw. But yeah, it were an interesting affair. It took Chelsea till very, very, very late on in the game to get it. I mean, they did have a goal ruled out earlier due to Lukaku being ruled offside. However, Ziyech's goal, I mean, you should watch it back, Chris. He's just hit it first time at back post and it's gone straight through, straight in, and it's an absolute wonderful finish. What's that? Daniel, it's a scam. It's fine. It's just
to be honest with you, Kate, I didn't used to, and then I thought, well, hang on, I can't be predicting two. I've got to stick with one, and I do whatever I predict in mine. I also predict in Dan's. But yeah, I mean, it just shows. Sorry, Palace. You know, it is a 90-minute game, or if you play in Tottenham Hotspur, 97, and you can't you can't switch off. You know, even in the 97th minute, and you know, Chelsea. That's, you know, I know it's not going to be with Chelsea, but that's what makes the difference between a good team and an okay team, isn't it? In the fact that, you know, these are the sort of games that if you're going for the league, could win you the league, because it's a game where you've not won, you 2 minutes off it being a 0-0, but you're not giving up and you get the goal. I mean, Palace, they kind of, I expected more of them. They've not won in 5. They've only won 3 out of the 5. I mean, they lost to Liverpool, fair enough. You kind of get that, and obviously to Chelsea. So they're probably not in dire straits. They're still, they're in 13th place. But they started off well with a new manager, with Vieira. I thought they would struggle this season. They haven't, shows what I know. But they're just, again, a bit like Villa. They've just become sort of, they're there, you know.
Yeah, it's totally true. I mean, Palace they've followed a trend, really. They've done it many a times this season, haven't they, where they've been playing pretty well. They look like they're on course to get a result. You know, early on in the season, I think they were 2-1 up against Arsenal. Dying minutes, Arsenal got an equaliser. There's been a few times where Palace have been in the lead and in the dying moments, you know, dropped points, or potentially lost all 3. So, again, it's about playing till the final whistle. And if you're starting to give up, thinking that, right, well, it's fine, we've already got a point. If your mentality is we've already got a point by the end of this, then I'm sorry to say you shouldn't be a footballer. We all know at Sunday League you play to the final whistle. You know, so if you can't do that in the Premier League, then something's wrong. Vieira should know that. You know, he was captain of Arsenal for God knows how many years, so he should know you play till the end. It's common sense. But Chelsea, as you said, Club World Champions. You know, it's. They didn't have, put it one way, they didn't have far to travel, did they? They're not going to be jet lagged with that game, are they?
No. I mean, the funny thing is, I mean, they've won that one. They won the one before Tottenham 2-0. Well done, Chelsea. But they only just got the draw with Brighton. They need to be doing this more often. I think Chelsea, unfortunately, never say never, but I don't think they're going to be in with a chance of winning the Premier League this season. But they'll certainly be sort of top 4. We know that, obviously. Now, the next game, well, we're no surprise to say that everybody went for this one. Everybody called this one right. This was your other point, Daniel. I think the only shock was that Norwich took the lead.
It were. I mean, we were 2-0 up in the game at Brighton at the time. I'm having a look through. You know, I'm like, come on, Villa. We're still 0-0 in that game against Watford, and all of a sudden Norwich had gone 1-0 up, and that rate my heart sunk. I was like, oh shit, here we go. I thought, typical, the day we get a result, everything's going to go against us. And lo and behold, it didn't take, you know, much longer. Just, I mean, 20 minutes. It's nothing when you're kicking the ball about. It seems like 5. But, Yeah, Mane managed that equaliser. Salah popped up, and obviously the January target signing, Luis Diaz, ended up cropping up with the winner. But
I think it was that sort of mad, 5 minutes, around just after the 60th minute when, Norwich lost it. Really, that was,
Yeah.
I think it was that once you go down to Liverpool at Liverpool, there's not many good teams will come back, let alone no disrespect to Norwich.
To be fair though, Chris, looking at the highlights, Norwich had a fair few chances. There was a chance where Pukki were clearing on goal. Alisson's made himself big and pulled out a real save, to be fair, to keep him in it at 0-0. And Norwich's goal, to be fair, was a deflection, off Joel Matip. So, Norwich were very, very lucky to go up 1-0, although they could have done, technically. Danielson, you had a good win the weekend, but obviously Burnley, Bristol City next season. Why? Bristol City getting promoted?
You wouldn't ever admit to supporting Bristol City, would you?
No, would you?
But so that was Liverpool, like I say, doing what everybody expected of them. We'll look at the next few games straight after this.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Indeed, please do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as well. It all helps us grow. Now, those of you again that have known me for this season will know that we have a few laugh videos here. Now, I'm not saying that I'm laughing at Everton. Yes, I am saying I'm laughing at Everton. I am, and I have a new laugh video for you. This is. I'm just going to play it. Here we go. He was a tattooist, can I just say? She was having somewhere very private tattooed. I would have got out of the way after the first one, to be honest with you.
Just a bit.
Oh, what can you say? It's after the watershed. We beat Man United. When was that, Anthony? So I just makes me laugh, that one. I just really laugh. But I mean, Everton. That was a joke. Everton are becoming the joke side, aren't they?
They are. They really, really are. Southampton have probably surprised everybody, but they do this every year, don't they? Where they have a blip and they look like they're going to go down, and then they start getting a run of results together. Again, another reason why probably not a lot of people say, "Oh, Southampton, I'm fed up of them. They're another team that sort of yo-yo season in, season out." Not in terms of going up and down, but I mean in terms of their form being up and down. This season, a lot of people thought Southampton were going to be in that drop zone, losing some key players. And they've rallied round and gained strength. I mean, Shane Long, spent last season on loan at Bournemouth in the Championship, or the beginning of this season. Sorry, I'm not entirely sure. It was one or the other. And
he must have been this season, because they were in the Premier League last season, weren't they?
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I think they were. I think it was the season they went down.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. It might have been that he were on loan there the first half of this season. I think they might have had to recall him prior to January due to maybe injuries up front. But Southampton, a team that have rallied together. You don't know what team you're going to get, from Hasenhüttl. And I'm so glad that a team like Southampton have stuck with him, to be fair, as well. Yeah. As you've said numerous times, they've had those 2 9-0 Dickens. And it's... they've stuck with him and repaid the faith, really, even though he's also lost some key hitters. You think of that as a manager. How would you feel? You've set up a team to go out in a game. In 2 matches, you've lost 9-0. All of a sudden, the season comes round. You lose all your key players and you're expected to go again. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you've got to commend Hasenhüttl for what he's done.
You've got to commend him, and yes, you've also got to commend Southampton for sticking with him.
Yeah.
And you know, somebody said to me about, oh, if we get rid of Rodgers, Potter, but well, all three of them. But they said somebody said, well, what about Husinat? And I'm honest with you, I would take him.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. He's, as you can see, he can work with a weakened squad, shall we say, compared to Leicester in terms of the squad that they've got. I look at this game, and again, it was one of those you wouldn't touch if you're a betting man. Everton under Lampard at the moment, you know, I mean, they got a win last week, didn't they, Everton? And you'd think they'd actually do something against Southampton, think that you'd give them a game. The fact that they've got something to play for, to try and get themselves out of that sort of, you know, mediocrity at the moment, you know, they're another team that could be severely dragged into it. I think they're level on points with Newcastle now.
Yeah, I think they're level in it.
Level on points with Newcastle, both teams on 22 points. If we get a win against Spurs, you know, being Burnley, if none of you realised at all, you know, if we get a win, we're only 2 points behind them with still a game in hand. And Everton's one of the teams that we've got to play in those game in hands as well. So it's extremely interesting. However, Everton have been absolutely drab. I think a lot of people as well want to see them get relegated just for the fact that they've never been relegated. There's always that as well. I want them to get relegated for personal reasons, just because my stepdad's a Blue.
As you know, with me, I like the big teams to go down for a little bit, and
knock them down a peg.
You do class Everton, yeah, exactly. You do class Everton as one of those. They have only won in 5. You know, I thought, you know, they'd made some good signings, you know, in the January window, but you know, maybe Lampard's not the saviour they thought he is. Only one of us went for an Everton win. Went for a Southampton win. Only one went for a Southampton win. Do you know who that might have been?
I think that might have probably you, Chris.
Well, as soon as you just looked at your answers to say yes, you're quite right. It was me. You were doing your Splinter Arse impersonation.
Hey, to be fair on mine, I joined you with Southampton on mine.
Yeah, you just copied me. Honestly, you're riding on my coattails.
All I'll say is, Chris, after I'd seen the team news a couple of days later and I started doing my preview, you know, I realised then I had to tweak a few things.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Right. So let's move on to the last game of the Saturday. Nobody went for this because everybody said it was going to be a Manchester City win. God, I hate Tottenham.
So do I, and I'm sure I'll probably hate them more on Wednesday evening as well. As you rightly said, we expected an absolute City thumping. You know, being dealt to Spurs. The fact that City need to start picking up points. Liverpool are sniffing blood now in that title race. I think they're only 6 points now behind Manchester City, and they're starting to think, hold on, we've got a chance here. However, you know, prior to kickoff, Spurs are the only team that what were the stat that got said? Something along the lines of Spurs are the only team against Manchester City that Pep Guardiola hasn't got a win against.
Right. Wow.
So I thought, typical, absolutely typical. But Spurs were very, very good. And I'll tell you what I enjoyed about the first goal. As simple as it was, in a sense, Heung-min, you know, Heung-min Son, however you want to pronounce it, was so unselfish in the way he got forward. He was one-on-one with the keeper, and he could have easily just slotted it away. You know, a player of his caliber could have just popped it through the keeper's legs, gone round him, etc. But no, he was so unselfish, played it to Kulusevski on the edge of the box, and he just had a simple tap in. Again, you know, Kane also had a goal ruled out as well for offside. it was just madness. The last couple of minutes in that game, you know, when I looked at the highlights, it was one of those games where if you were a fan of Spurs, you proper. Oh, I put it one way: Spurs will be selling this game on DVD.
Well, I mean, as playing for a team that was 2-1 up against Spurs with 95 minutes played, I do feel Manchester City's pain here. I didn't know. I'm sorry. They've got no redeeming features about them at the moment. Tottenham Hotspur just do not like them.
They don't. I mean, look at Conte started his life at Spurs really, really well. And there was no arguments with that. However, they're another team that have started to drop off a little bit. But then they pull out this sort of performance against Man City, and it's like people said, it'll be such a Spursy attitude to beat City 3-2, come to the turf on Wednesday and lose.
Yeah,
and I've seen that from quite a few Spurs fans, and I'm there like, hey, I'll take that every day of the week. Like, tops off, hats off. I'm like, I'll celebrate that every day of the week.
Please do something over them on midweek.
Trust me, I hope we do. I
think I can only follow Tottenham Hotspur with this. Dick Paradise or Rod Fanny?
The correct answer is Rod Fanny. He used to play for Marseille.
Oh,
yeah.
You know your Fanny.
Right. Oh yes.
Michael, be careful what you say.
Well, he might like Spurs because of Antonio Conte.
Yeah. We won't go there. Right, 2 games on the Sunday, both on Sky. I was surprised actually that Sky did manage to find 5 minutes to talk about Wolves Leicester because their favourite team, Man United, were on. But we're going to start obviously with the first game, which seems the obvious place to start, really. Leeds United 2, Manchester United 4. A 6-goal extravaganza, which I must admit I didn't see coming, especially because I went for the draw. You went for a Leeds win when you were being honest on my channel, though you may have...
I was honest on my channel as well, Chris. I went for Leeds on my channel as well.
Yeah. Brad went for United, Manchester, that is. I mean, they put up a bit of a fight, Leeds, didn't they?
They did. It was absolute, like, mad. I think it was good couple of seconds. There were only a few seconds, 50-odd seconds, something like that.
53 and 54 minutes, I think it says on here, yeah.
Yeah, it was absolute madness. I mean, Rodrigo's goal, wow. I mean, you could tell that should technically say Storm Eunice 53 minutes because he's hit a cross and it sort of just evaded De Gea and gone over his head and into the back of the net. So, yeah, that's not Rodrigo's goal. That's Storm Eunice has opened his account for the season, and got his first goal for Leeds. But the second goal was very well worked. Former United player Dan James gets in and around the box, a bit of trickery, plays one to the back stick, and there was R. Diaz Balali, shall we say, since his name written down there. It was Rafinha, wasn't it? Sorry, yeah. Rafinha comes up with a second goal, and it was just the same again. The tapping.
Diaz there. I don't know. It did say Diaz there. But...
Yeah, it put me off. I was thinking Ruben Dick. It's not Ruben Dick. Who begins with R that plays for Leeds?
Yeah, that's Sky for you. That before that, of course, Harry Maguire paying back a little bit of his 80 million.
Yeah, I mean.
I don't know if you've seen his. I think it's his Twitter post, and he's put one of his mates' heads on the Leeds fan in the crowd because his mate is a Leeds fan, and he's been giving him stick all week. So when he scored, he took somebody's head off and put his friend's head on the fan. But
not wrong with that. I know exactly where it's coming from with that. When I helped organise a charity do against Vintage Claret side, and me and a couple of mates that played football and stuff all got together and we organised this match. And Andy Payton were playing up front for the Vintage Clarets, and I'd been dogging him on Facebook all week. saying, honestly, you're going to get your arse handed to you. It was so like Mark Bassett. It was unreal. It was like, you know what, we're going to do you in. We're going to do you in. Burnley went on to lose 11-2.
Yeah, I can hear that. I remember Peyton. That name does ring a bell from my Burnley days, I must admit. But, you know, I again, with Man United, I just don't know which Man United is going to turn up.
No, as we said earlier, you know, the penalty loss to Borough, then again dropping points against us at Turf Moor, and then you come up against Leeds. I think I said on your channel, to be fair, I said you'll have a voice in the dressing room. You know, Calvin Phillips will be in there for Leeds, giving it the big one. But you know, Man United sort of just looked at this and they actually played the game. Maybe Leeds played the occasion, you know, with it being a rival fixture. But Manchester United did a job. They were there to do the job, and they prevailed. It just, as a Man United fan, you must be asking that question: where is that desire to go out in games and finish teams off like that? You know, week in, week out. I must say as well, very, very, very happy that as much as it's Man United, that Alanga got on the score sheet and, you know, basically killed the game off, because probably will do his confidence a world of good, especially after, you know, all the crap on social media after his penalty miss against Borough.
Indeed. And we had to come to it, unfortunately. I'd like to forget it, but we can't. Wolverhampton 2, Leicester City 1. You actually went for a Leicester win. So please don't do that ever in future, because you obviously...
Chris, can I just reiterate, you also went for a Brighton win. So from now on, can you always back against Burnley, and I'll start backing against, and I'll start backing against Leicester.
I'm going to back against Burnley because you've let me down so many times. I mean, it was. We actually, I did a show a couple of hours ago, and I had Matt on from Talking Wolves, and people have been saying, and I don't know how much of the game you watched, and Mike watched quite a bit of it because he came on and did the post match, that Leicester were actually the better team here.
Yeah, totally agree. The one thing I've got to say is, if you do not sign Lookman at the end of the season, then there is something wrong, because he has been phenomenal. I'm jealous because we wanted him. I think we got to a point of even agreeing a move. It was just a case of that we were too late to say that we'll stump up the cash to pay the wages. And fair play, he's come to Leicester, he's done a job, he's slotted in perfectly. Yeah, I mean, you need to snap him up. You need to snap him up, definitely. You were definitely the better team. It was just a case of Wolves got very lucky. They took, pretty much only had a handful of chances, and they took two of them. Brad tagged me in something earlier that worries me, that Vardy should be back for the Burnley game, which made me arse go a little bit.
Well, I wouldn't read too much into that, because when I saw it, it was only coming from a fan channel, not from the anything official. So, yeah, you take it with a pinch of salt at the moment, anyway. And to be honest with you, if he is back for the Burnley game and he's thrown in on his first game back for 90 minutes, I think it's the risk, but there we go. And I've got to be totally honest with you, Vardy, before he got injured, was not knocking the goals in great numbers. And this is it with Leicester fans. It's like,
he did against us at the King Power.
Yeah, but that was like way back, before I had hair. It was like, I mean, unfortunately, Leicester fans, and he's amazing, Vardy, and I hope, like I say, he will become a super sub, I think, eventually, when his legs start to get him a bit. But he is absolutely wonderful, and everything he's done for us. But he's not, at the moment, he's not the Vardy that was the Vardy of 15, 16, 17, 18, etc. He's getting on every year, and he hasn't, he wasn't top scorer last season. That was Inacho. He hasn't sort of, set the world alight this season at all. And yes, he's been injured, and that's another problem. So Vardy coming back, we seem to think that if Vardy comes back and Fofana comes back, that suddenly we're going to race up the table and challenge Man City for the title. It isn't going to happen. But we'll see. You never know. You never know, as they say. But the Wolves did get lucky in this one, I thought. Especially that when that goal went in, it was going to be interesting to see how Leicester did. We know would our heads go down, but for the equaliser, amazing ball through from Tielemans just to start them, to start it up, crossed in, and anybody could have got the touch on it. Thankfully, Lookman did. Thing with Lookman, when you follow somebody like Mahrez, it's hard to, you've got that. Oh, are you the next Mahrez? Are you the next Mahrez? And we've had Gazelle there, we've had Under there, but Lookman seems to be doing the business. And of course, he was on his preferred left side.
Yeah. I mean, another name, another youngster that I don't think got a chance really at Leicester. You had Bartosz Kaputska as well, didn't you, on that far side at one point?
Yeah, he never really. He was bought on the back of a very good Euros.
Yeah,
but in fairness, he was never really given a chance, if you like.
Yeah.
It was one of I think it was one of Claudio's signings before he left us. But yeah. He'll be up there, in the list of bad signings the clubs have made for Leicester.
You've got Kaputska and Akinbaye there, list done, pen down.
Benkovic will be at the top of that list, though, in this. But yeah, I mean, this to me, in 90 minutes, sums up Leicester's season. Which Leicester, like we said with a few other teams, which Leicester is going to turn up? Because this season has been mad for all teams. Anybody on the day can beat anybody. Watford beating Villa, you'd never have guessed that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
It's been one of those seasons. But we keep thinking with Leicester, this is the one where we're going to push on. This is the one where we're going to push on. What I will say is, watching the TV on Sky, and the commentator said, I was listening to the post-match, I think it was on BBC, and the co-commentator said, judge Brendan not on this season, judge Brendan when he's got a fully fit squad.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
That is totally spot on. Because we know what he can do with a fully fit squad. Look at the last two seasons. Yeah. And I think it's the fact that he doesn't come. I mean, if Klopp, if Van Dijk, breaks a fingernail, Klopp's on the radio about it. And
oh yeah.
And yet, I was telling people recently we've had 9 injuries to 9 just defenders, not anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's just your defence.
Yeah,
your defence.
And they don't believe it because Rodgers doesn't go out and shout about it and blame that, but no. So that was the last game. Like I say, it was disappointing for us, but Wolves we've never won at Wolverhampton in the Premier League, and so it goes on, unfortunately. So this is the table. It's a 2-horse race, isn't it?
It is, and if you're a Liverpool fan, you've got to be looking at this thinking, right, we're sniffing bloody Manchester City are dropping points like flies at the minute. It's almost like, is Pep Guardiola finally being found out? Is it sort of a little bit of that? Manchester City need to regain their identity back if they want to try and keep themselves in the hunt. You've gone from 12 points clear to half in that deficit. It's remarkable. I mean, it just shows that it doesn't the bad luck doesn't sort of stick in the bottom half of the table. It can also affect those at the top. You've got to fear for West Ham. They're dropping off a little bit now, outside of the top 4. Wolverhampton Wanderers and Arsenal will be thinking, we can sneak in there. Don't even rule out Spurs yet. Off the back of that performance, that could spur. No pun intended, but that could spur them on. Yeah. I mean, look at Brighton, still sat in the top 10.
Yeah.
And, little old Burnley came to the city and did a job on them. So,
I mean, Europe goes down to 7th. To be honest with you, I think the top 3 will be one, obviously, as it stands at the moment, in some order.
Yeah.
Whether it's that order or not, it's only I think it's Man City or Liverpool that are going to win it, but Chelsea will be third. Who do you see at the moment? And to be honest with you, nobody outside of that, anybody inside the top 10, so I could do it. But who do you see sneaking that 4th place?
See, I want to say West Ham. I want to say West Ham, but at the moment, I can't see where that resurgence is going to come from.
No.
They need to get it back, but they'll know that. You've got the voices of Declan Rice and Mark Noble in there, probably giving them, every bit of it. Saying, 2 West Ham boys in a sense, basically saying, "Come on, let's do it. Let's push ourselves. Let's give Man United and make it awkward for them." Manchester United, again, another team that need to keep themselves in that hunt. Don't rule out Arsenal. We saw them creep up the table quietly before. Could they do it again? I think the top 4 is pretty much nailed on as it is. And it pains me to say it because I'd love to see West Ham do it.
I agree with you. I was asked this question the other day, and unfortunately, I do see Man United sneaking that 4th place. And I don't think it's an improvement because they've done no better than they were doing under Ollie.
Yeah.
But there we go. These boards know best, don't they? Let's get rid of the manager, bring somebody else in who's only going to be there for a few months because he's going to move upstairs, and let's just stay the same as we were last season. I'd love to see West Ham or Wolves do it, simply because I like to see the less, those sort of teams do it. And I'd just hate to see Arsenal do it. I'd sooner have Man United do it over Arsenal. Sorry, Anthony, if you're still watching.
I'll tell you what, that might be the reason why Old Trafford's leaking when it's pissing down, because all the people that go from the managerial box to working upstairs, they've had to take out the roof tile, so it's pissing through into the stadium now.
I tell you what is a bad thing, I think, is the fact that they've still got Alex Ferguson. Is he 100%, on the board?
Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, nailed on that. You've hit the nail on the head with that. You need to let sleeping dogs lie. And you can get rid of Ed Woodward, you can get rid of the Glazers, but as long as you've still got that Sir Alex Ferguson influence, you're not going to change the philosophy of Manchester United Football Club. You are still going to be stuck in the past. You may as well sit the statue of Dennis Law and all that lot out, in the stand as well, if that's what you're going to do. It's ridiculous. You hit the nail on the head, Chris. Totally agree with you. Can't fault that at all.
I've seen it happen at Leicester when Martin O'Neill came and he was forever being told about Jimmy Bloomfield. Never won anything under Jimmy Bloomfield, but he was always being quoted that once you've been a manager, just move on. Don't. I understand why you want to keep him because of everything he did, but the problem that Manchester United have got, and I think I'm slowly winning and getting them to see this, is that pre-Alex Ferguson, you were an Arsenal or a Spurs. That's all you were. You won the odd cup every now and again. You won nothing else. Post-Alex Ferguson, you're the same. You're just another Spurs or Chelsea. You might when you win the odd cup here and there. Those Alex Ferguson years were brilliant, but you've got to let it go. Liverpool, let it go. Liverpool had it. They couldn't let their past success go. It took them 30 years. It's not been quite that long for Man United, but I would hate to be a manager coming in and looking at it and going, I've got Alex Ferguson looking over my shoulder.
Yeah,
move
again,
on.
It's again when Ollie were there as well. Like if Ollie felt like he ever had anything wrong, we've lost the last 2 games. Gaffer, what would you do? And then all of a sudden goes down to players. I'd do this, I'd do that, and if it doesn't work out, it's still on Ollie's shoulders.
Yes, yeah. Anyway, I can't see that changing, but what is changing is the bottom of the table. Burnley off the bottom
Get it.
on goal difference. I mean, Norwich minus 38 goal difference. I mean, that's worth a point to anybody that's battling them at the bottom, isn't it?
Massively, yeah. I mean, even with us in that mix, you know, we've not conceded that many. You know, if Watford didn't get the result against Aston Villa, would have been sat in 18th. Okay, it looks better. However, we're still in that hunt. Even with 4 games in hand up towards Brentford. You know, looking at Brentford, and you've got to think any result against our games in hand are Spurs, Villa, yourselves, and Everton. And if we can get anything from the Spurs game on Wednesday, fantastic. Obviously,
I think Spurs is your free hit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, massively, yeah. I mean, we've got Spurs on Wednesday and then Palace away on the Saturday.
Yeah. I mean,
and then the must win on Tuesday night, Chris.
No, to be honest with you, I was about to say your other games in hand. So you got Spurs is 1 game in hand, Everton, Leicester. Palace isn't a game in hand, is it?
No, the other one's Aston Villa.
I mean,
another team that are again also there, sat in 12th. That could
you look at as I say, for me, Spurs is pretty much going to be a free hit for you. I'll be honest, I can't see you getting anything. Everton, Leicester, Aston Villa. If you carry on the form you're doing, I don't think 7 points is out of the question there.
No, I mean, the fact that the Spurs game, the Leicester game, and the Everton game are all at Turf Moor. The only one that's not is away at Aston Villa. And, you know, as it's shown this year, that Watford have gone to Aston Villa and managed to be the better side. So who's to say that we can't do that as well?
And, you know, I unfortunately, and I'm going to annoy my fan base here, but I can probably see you getting something against us. So, you know, with the sort of season we're having,
it'll be an interesting watch along, Chris. I'll tell you that.
It will be. It will be. I might have to press the old mute button a few times. I mean, looking at that, that's the bottom 10, the bottom half. I mean, you could argue Leicester aren't actually out of the relegation scrap.
No. I mean, there's enough about them to probably, you know, be out of it. Looking at it point wise, I mean, you're not going to need to hit such a high points. They usually say, 30 points is usually enough to get you out.
Yeah, 40 points is the guarantee, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but you look at it now, and you're right up towards where you are, which is, it may be bottom half of the table, but it's mid-table, and you know, even you're not at that 30-point mark. It's very, very interesting this season.
I don't know where those other 13 points are going to be coming from, to be honest with you. But let me ask you this, and you know I'm going to ask you this. Put nail your colours to the mast. Pick the 3 teams that are going down.
Norwich will go down farting.
Yeah.
I still want to say us, but based on the last couple of performances, I've started to gain a bit of optimism. And I just think that, and you've heard me say that I still think that we were going to go down in the past couple of weeks, but and I also said that on the basis of that 45 minutes against Man United, I couldn't base that one performance on it. But we've been consecutively playing well at the moment in these games. So, do we just get out of it? Probably final day against Newcastle or something. Maybe share of the spoils and send Everton down. I think Norwich and Watford are definitely going to be in there. I'm going to say it's between Everton and Brentford, and I think I'm going to say Everton.
I mean, I have to agree with you. Norwich are down for me. Watford, I think the win at the weekend was like a surprise rather than a fight back. Can Kate says Norwich, Watford, and Everton. She's agreeing with you. That's the first. We should click that. Shouldn't we?
Screen grab that. Grab that.
The thing with Burnley is you've got a wily old fox there as a manager. He knows what he's doing. It's not, and the club know what they're doing as well. Not just the manager, but the club know what they're doing because they've been there before in this relegation fight. As much as you've been down the bottom, you've got relegated before. You've had a couple of good seasons. You got into Europe, let's not forget, and what have you. So as a club, you've got a lot of nous about you to know how to get out of this situation. You could argue that Roy has, Dean Smith. I do think Norwich and Watford are down. Roy might even go before the end of the season. Newcastle are going to be safe. I think they are going to be safe. I can see you sneaking it, to be honest with you, to stay up. And like I say, I think if you didn't have Dyche and you hadn't sort of been where you'd been before, you've got that experience to call on. Dyche.
I think if we stay up, we've definitely got to be up there with one of the greatest escapes, because we've gone from literally having nothing to winning 2 games to all of a sudden putting a run together and maybe getting out of it.
I don't think it'll ever beat Leicester City's great escape, though, will it? Let's be honest. If you want to make that any good, you've got to go on and win the Premier League the next season. I'd like to see Everton. Again, I just have a feeling it's Everton. And unfortunately, I think it is going to be between Leeds and Brentford, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I think you may just do it, and you should clip that because I won't admit it again. So there we go. Daniel, sir, thank you so much for coming on. Now, let's just have a look. So I notice you have a T-shirt there. You've been sticking your boobs out all show, which isn't a hard thing to do. Hey, you're playing. You're A cup, sir. You're A cup. Wait till you got a D cup like these,
Hey, it'll be first me getting my D cup.
But give a shout out because I know it's a charity that's very close to your heart.
So Casual Minds Matter is a local charity in Burnley, run by my stepbrother and a couple of his friends as well. They all got together and they've all been in that sort of bad headspace, myself included. It's really well worked. They do groups on Mondays. They get all guys from all over to come in, sit down. They do the odd quiz nights and things like that. Pizza nights. They put some food on for everyone. They have a laugh. They'll talk to each other and things like that. The group's open for anyone. I mean, the Facebook group, there's even been women in there as well that have been posting their problems. And the fact that it's sort of opened it up as well. I've spoken to people over the phone, professional people, and they've even recommended these as well. And I'm so honoured and feel appreciative to be even a part of being able to represent them as a charity. So fingers crossed. Everybody that needs help will eventually talk and get it. I know it can be a struggle, but eventually getting the help and seeing that speaking to somebody is the best form of therapy is actually, something I really think you should do. And I commend everybody that does it because it shows your strong character.
Well said, sir. Well said. And I think, as you said, there's 2 of us on camera, and I think there's 2 of us that have both been through that same thing recently. And I think if you look at a lot of these channels that have started, I mean, a lot of them started because of the COVID and people weren't going to work and or losing the jobs.
Yeah.
But, I was surprised. I started it for something to do to take my mind off other things. Let's just leave it at that. And,
yes,
and yet you got talking to people, and there's so many people out there have done it. They've set their channel for the same reason, and you don't realize until you get talking, and it's like, well, you're suffering with it as well, and it is. We don't like to talk about it as men, and I for a long time personally didn't want to admit it, and that's the thing of being a man is admitting it, and eventually I had to say, because I think with COVID, I believe that there's nobody out there that could help us because they're all not working and what have you. But if you stick the hand out and ask for help, the chances are that somebody will grab it at the other end. So if you are in the Lancashire,
go on, Chris. Sorry,
I was going to say if you are in the Lancashire area, although I'm sure they may talk to you wherever.
Oh yeah. No matter where you are, search Casual Minds Matter on Facebook. No matter what, they will. There's people that are on there that have just dropped them a message saying, "Listen, is there any chance anybody can give me a ring? I'm at my wit's end," sort of thing. And literally, somebody will be there. Whether it's myself, whether it's somebody that works for the charity, somebody has been in touch, picked up that phone and said, "Are you okay? How is things? Just talk." I saw a video online the other day. It showed somebody say, who do men speak to if the head goes? If the head goes, and they just turn around and went, "No one. We're men. We get on with it."
Yeah.
And I think that as much as we stereotype that, we could sit here all day and speak about it. I think it's one of those things that really does need mentioning.
Yeah.
But I will say as well, it is not just men that suffer, but based on this charity alone, this one is predominantly for male mental health because it's not spoken about enough.
Yeah, well said, sir. And of course, they do, if you are worried, they do always have extra staff on just post Dan shows. So if you've sat through one of Dan's shows and you're feeling a bit down and it's got too much for you, give them a message. They do have the extra stuff on. Sorry, mate. I gotta laugh. I've got to laugh. I jest about it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Let me just see if this can raise a laugh. And I should just point out at this point, Chubby Cox is no reference to Jake's dad at all. I just say that. I do feel I need to cover myself. I don't think he's watching, but Robert Cox, honestly, there was no
Richard. You mean
link. Richard Cox. There was no link in my mind when I did that. Talking at 8, Casual Minds Matter. Search it on Facebook. It is really, really good, and give them your support. Also, give this guy on this side here. Give him some support. We've got a little bit of we do have a sort of bit of a bromance going on between us, don't we? But we are forced to come onto each other's channels, even when we're not invited.
Put it one way, Chris. You send a link through Twitter, and the tag on the bottom of my leg starts vibrating, so I know when you've invited me on a show.
It's like Eric Morecambe said once about Des O'Connor. He came to my daughter's wedding. He wasn't invited. If we turned up like that, and because we're getting together on Friday on your channel, 9 p.m, doing the prediction show, of which
we are.
I think I find I'm still top, to be honest with you, because I was top last week, and I think I've got more than anybody else this week.
At the moment, you are at the top for this week. Obviously, there's still 4 games to go prior to Friday's fixture between Southampton and Norwich, which will be an interesting game on Friday night. But yeah, we will obviously speak about that on Friday. And then not long after that, Chris, get the weekend out the way. And it's the interesting one. Father versus son. Brother from another mother. Burnley versus Leicester.
Yes, and I'm still thinking about that. Is a watch along a good idea? Because I'm sure if Burnley were to get anything from that you wouldn't let me forget it.
To be fair though, Chris, do you remember that? Do you remember when Sky did the instead of the commentary, you could listen to fan commentary, couldn't you? And it had the 2 fans in one room with the t-shirts on, and
yes,
they went mad and they were like that in each other's faces and all sorts of stuff. I loved that. I would have loved to have done that.
There is a classic one out there, and the guy, he's just got married. He works out in the Far East, and he's a mate on Facebook, and true Leicester fan, and Sky Fan Cam, and he did it was the season Leicester City went down, but we were playing Leeds United, and the guy from Leeds had come on and on the back of his T-shirt, it had Leeds United 4, Leicester City 0, I believe it was, printed on his T-shirt. It was that confident they're going to win. And we beat them 4-0. That is what that show was made for. Google it, YouTube it. It's brilliant. What is brilliant, sir, is you and your channel. Give it a shout out. Where can people find you?
So yeah, I'm on here most of the time helping Chris. You know, I'm like that one brain cell.
Still come on.
I'm that one cancerous cell that never leaves you, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm quite predominant as well with it. However, you can catch me on Turf Moorhouse on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and also on podcast platforms: Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So please do check us out, and all your support is really, really, really appreciated.
Yeah, do that, guys. And remember, if you are suffering with any mental health or anxiety, just put your hand out, just talk to somebody. And if you're on Facebook, get onto Casual Minds Matter. Talking helps. That's all. I'll leave it at that. Talking helps. Thanks very much, mate. I will see you. I'll probably speak to you before then. We do every
I'm sure
day,
you will.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing you on Friday. Thanks very much,
Certainly
mate.
will. Thanks for having me, mate. Take care,
Cheers,
everyone.
Bye bye. Thanks to Dan there. Great guy and great message. His contact details are underneath in the chat. He does a lot of non-Burnley stuff as well. So he does a lot of general football stuff. But it is really, really an important message. So many people doing these channels because of that mental health. And whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whatever your sexual orientation is, it helps to talk. And I say that personally. I really, really do. Going to be back at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Rogers in or Rogers out? He's got to be given more time, but Jason doesn't think so. Jason wants him out. We will see tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Be there or be the square. Is that cool? Is that cool still to say that anymore? Don't touch that dial. What I like to think, although don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy. See you tomorrow at 7. Good night, guys.
Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
The Leicester Till I Die shop is now open.
For all your Leicester Till I Die merchandise,
Visit the Leicester Till I Die shop at our website. Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
That's all, folks.
Some people are on the pitch, they think it's all over. It is now.